Well, my name is Scott Harris. I'm with Encompass Home Health, and I was formerly with Roberts Home Medical. Started with Encompass January 2013. Am I straight?
Yes, you're good.
And we'll be presenting. I'll be presenting along with Sally Wallace, who I think is one of the best physical therapists in town, a program on fall prevention and gait disorders. So first, I just want to start off by reading a short story that I found this morning, courtesy of ABC News on the internet. So every 18 seconds, an older adult in the emergency room is in the emergency room because of a fall, according to the CDC. That translates into a person 65 or older dying due to a fall every 35 minutes. Most falls are never reported. People don't go to the hospital, they just go home, and they're injured, they nurse their injuries themselves. It means the person's loved ones or spouses often become caretakers. A good example, Lillian Sachs is one such person. 8 years ago, her husband, Julian Sachs, fell while riding the subway. He's been on a steady decline since that time, she said. During the summer, Julian fell again. He said, "I can't take this anymore. I don't want to live anymore," said 81-year-old Lillian. He stopped eating. The couple's more than 25-year love story ended when he died in August. So falls are very serious. I take them very passionate to try to help people to prevent falling. So very excited to talk to you guys today. Just a quick note about Encompass. We're formerly American Senior Care. There's still sometimes American Senior Care. You'll still see stuff with American Senior Care Encompass, so it's kind of in a transition right now. And of course, Louise has been with American Senior Care for like 29 years, and so, but we're very happy to be here. So going over our presentation, and you each should have got a fall presentation slick that we hand out to doctors or referrals. It's got some great facts. And Encompass is on a mission to make sure we help people from falling. If you look at some of these stats on there, Medicare spends over $20 billion per year on non-fatal falls, injuries. And there's some other facts on there also. And you'll also find a copy of my business card kind of cut off to fit. Doris, I probably broke all kinds of rules with copying and all that, so just take it to jail after this. So it has my mobile phone, it has our office number, so feel free to give us a call. Louise, Sally, we keep her very busy, so she'll be out of here. So just some facts about falls among older adults, and this is per the CDC. Among older adults, 65 or older, falls are the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries. One out of every, let me see if I can figure this thing out. All right, cool. 1 out of every 3 older adults falls each year, but less than half talk to their caregivers. We all know that. There's a lot of stubborn ones out there not using their walkers, not doing what the doctor says. Many people who fall, even if they are not injured, develop a fear of falling. Got to tell a story on that real quick. 2 winters ago, I was trying to carry 15 things out to my car. My house was on a slope, paved driveway. Dislocated my shoulder. So, I mean, I had therapy after that and all that. So, young people fall too. So, especially me when I'm trying to carry too much. And you see how it really jams you up. So, people aged 75 and older who fell are 4 to 5 times more likely than those aged 65 to 74 to be admitted to a long-term care facility for a year or longer. So the bottom line is it takes their independence away. And that's our whole key. I think everybody in this room is for you to keep your independence and hopefully stay in your home if you can. What are some main causes of falls? You got low vision. That's a big one. They say you should have your eyes checked once every year. And as you age, there's more of a chance of getting a disease. Hearing loss is really big. We just had some talks on that, I know, and can affect your balance. Medication management is a big one. There's a lot of doctors that are starting to figure that out. Home safety. Home safety is a big one. Now, the scatter rug that we found a picture of, everybody knows somebody, the old lady, old man, a pet, that hates getting rid of their scatter rugs that they've had for 30 years in their floor, and they love them, and they have a story attached to them, but it's one of the biggest fall hazards they have if they're using a walker or a trip hazard. The bathroom. Bathroom is one of the most unsafe places you can be. Somebody has a knee replaced or knee surgery, they don't think about, how am I going to step over that tub? How am I going to push myself off of that commode with a balance issue? So you want to make sure you have grab bars in the right place, and I really push for people to have grab bars where they were comfortable using them and they think about it before they fall to give them the confidence if they were going to fall. I've seen some grab bars in crazy places. Also travel. You want to think about travel. Unless this has changed, I know most hotels only have one handicapped accessible room. That's all they're required to have unless that's changed. I think it should change because I know when I was at Roberts, they had the portable grab bars that they would take with them, and you got to be careful with those also. Sidewalks. Big cracks in sidewalks. People aren't aware. The little stoop that goes in the door. And also the kitchen. Now, a lot of people say, why the kitchen? Why would that be unsafe? Well, you might set your house on fire if you don't know what you're doing. But if you're grabbing up to a top cabinet and you reach, lose your balance, fall. And I'll tell you another story related to me. Just last weekend, garage door opener wasn't working in my house. I have a ladder right there 2 feet from me, hanging on the wall. But instead, I decided to take a 5-gallon bucket, turn it upside down, and, thought about 10 minutes on how I was going to get on that bucket and not fall. When I could have grabbed the bucket. I didn't fall, thank God. But my wife will tell you I'm stubborn as a mule when it comes to that. If I would have fallen, I would have laid there, drove myself to the hospital, and tried not to tell her about it. So I'll be one of those stubborn ones. Everyday balance and transferring. This is a big one. People might be as safe as they can be, but even getting out of bed, going to a chair, that balance factor is real big. If you lose your balance, what are you going to grab? What are you going to reach for? The toilet is a big one, as we discussed before. So even if you put a raised toilet seat on, you got to be careful. There's so many things attached. You think a raised toilet seat or a walker would be a walker, but raised toilet seats, you have elongated, you have round toilet bowls. My gosh, they made about 2,000 different kinds of toilet bowls, I think, so you want to make sure the person knows the measurements of it, kind of the diameter that's going to work for them. Because people, when they get this kind of stuff, you can't go out and sell it like Walmart. You can't go out and sell it at a vendor show on a table. They're going to get it when they need it. They're going to be stressed out. They're going to have a lot of things going on. So you really want to try to be what I call the plumber when they need something. The car, getting in and out of a car is tough for people. There's a lot of aids for that also. They have a swivel seat, padded swivel seat that a lot of people like. They have a little bar you can put in the door lock to help them push up. But all it takes is one time for them to lose their balance. And a big one is misuse or not being oriented right on use of ambulatory aids or medical equipment. And with regulations getting harder and harder with Medicare and the insurance companies, you've got to really watch this, because there's a lot of people that, for one, don't want to use the ambulatory aids, and two, they use them so long or they give them away where they can't get them back, and then insurance won't pay for another one. So I think in the future what we're going to see is a lot of people not wanting to use that walker because I just had to go through so much to get it, Or if they get one from a relative, it's going to have something wrong with it. So one thing that I'd always say to be careful with, and this is a large base quad cane, which I really don't personally like. You have the smaller base ones, but this has a lot of safety hazards to itself. So if you have a person that's using it, you usually see them using it kind of sideways, and they don't use it properly on all 4 prongs. So if you use this over an amount of time, you're going to wear down these rubber tips. And then as you weaken and get worse, you're going to start using it kind of going this way, and that could be a fall hazard in itself. So you want to check the tips out, or the wheels I call them. They're $2 a piece at Roberts or Simple Comforts. So make sure that they have good grip on them, and that the purpose is there for them to use and not a hazard. Also with a quad-based cane, if you notice you have a narrow side and a wider side. So if you have a confused person, they're using the wider side, it's easy for them to get their feet tangled up in it. So these are kind of designed to where they flip around very easy. So for me personally, I'm right-handed. So I would use the narrow side toward me. And these flip around very easily to accommodate another person. So if you don't know that, you're going to be using the wide side to you. So orientation of equipment is very important. Also, walker tips are important. You'll see the glides on the back of a lot of walkers. And you also see just rubber tips on the back of a walker. Rubber tip can be kind of a hazard because it's going to stop that person. And a walker can be dangerous in certain situations if you try to use one in gravel. So I know we do a lot of educating with the PTs, and the DME companies do orientations also. So resources to help fall prevention. And what I would like you to do, I had one more fall risk causes of falls, and that was if you drink too much at the Blue Ridge Wine Excursion. That will do it too, or cheap corn whiskey. So resources to help prevent falls, we're all a resource. We all can see a person who might be at risk of falls that might be a little stubborn and not tell anybody about it. And my good buddy, Dr. Avell Green, she's in Texas now, but I had a good relationship with her. I used to do a falls workshop for the medical students. She would always say it takes a village, and I think that's true for us in here. It does take a village. So what I'd like you to do, for these resources, raise your hand if you are one of these resources. Home health skilled agencies. So you got companion care agencies. All right. Got home medical suppliers and retail stores. Welcome Jeff to Roberts, by the way. And I want to thank both these guys and give them a little shout out for letting me borrow their equipment at different times when I call them 10 seconds before I need to pick it up. Eye and hearing specialists, very important. JABA and senior care, daycare, and people that do educational seminars. Contractors and realtors specializing in one-level homes. And family members and friends identifying fall risks to physician or caregiver. We're all involved in that. And one thing Dr. Green used to always say, to identify a fall risk is if you see a patient going into a grocery store or a loved one, and the first thing they reach for is that shopping cart for that stability, and they're reaching for it because they had trouble getting out of their car into the parking lot, that's a good sign that they need some help. That's a good sign to ask more questions. So with that, I'd like to introduce Sally Wallace, our physical therapist.
My name is Sally Wallace. I now work for Encompass Home Health Therapy. And I'm just going to give you an overview of some things about fall prevention, and then we're going to talk a little bit about equipment and how to do this. One thing I do want to say, and we're all aware of this, but we all need to remind ourselves this, is we need to treat elderly with dignity. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Does anybody like to be told what to do? I don't. Don't try it. But I do run into a lot of situations where we know people are at fall risk, but I got a lot of kids telling their parents, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. That's not how your parent wants to be treated or deserves to be treated. So anyway, that's my personal opinion. I also want to tell you I've been teaching fall prevention for many, many years, and yes, I fell off the kitchen counter about a month ago. I was cleaning the tops. I have, some vintage tins and yada, 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 and stepped on I had a correct step stool, but stepped incorrectly on it. It folded, and all of a sudden I'm on the floor. Nobody was home. I had no phone near me, and I just sat there as I'm testing all my joints, and I went, I'm now a statistic. And so my husband yelled at me, and I said, well, okay, I'll just stop cleaning. Something new and different. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of fill in some spaces and give you my perspective, and then we'll have time for some questions, correct? We talked about what my experience with falls are is they usually happen one of two places, when you're tired or when you're in a hurry. I've found that people in general are task-oriented. I've got to finish doing the dishes. I've got to get this laundry done and do-da-da-da-da. It doesn't matter I'm exhausted. It doesn't matter my back hurts. I've got to get this task done. So they're tired. They're probably in a hurry to get the task done so they can rest. My favorite story, it's not a favorite story, it's a really sad story. I had a client who was getting ready for her 4th of July picnic. The phone rang. She was expecting her sister to bring over some things. She knew it was her sister. She says, I got to get that phone. 2 steps up to the porch and she fell. Broke her leg. We sent her home for Thanksgiving dinner after rehab. She was literally in the hospital, surgeries, and a skilled nursing facility for rehab for 4 months. The phone will wait. The phone will wait. They'll call back if they really wanted to talk to you. Anyway, so 2 things, tired and in a hurry. So if you can take away those stressors or think things through, we talked about eyes, we talked about ears causing being fall risks. As we get older, our sensation tends to get, we're all very familiar with diabetes and how the neuropathies have and stuff. But with our flexibility, with our strength, but always our sensation also tends to go. So we don't feel our feet are on the floor as well. Or we don't go, oh, I'm a little off balance, oh my goodness, I can't catch myself. That type thing. We talked about pain. If I got a sore back and I got to reach up and get a coffee cup, I might have a problem. Okay? And also fear. Fear is a biggie because fear makes you not want to try to do things, which means you're staying still, which means you're getting weaker and less flexible, and then all of a sudden you become a self-perpetuating challenge. Okay? Some things in the home situation, and I have liked the transition to home health because I think I get to see some really great situations, also get to see some really very sad situations. We all do. But some things I talk about are those 2 things, when you're tired, when you're in a hurry. We talk about medication. It's 4 medications. The standard is once you get above 4 medications, the chances of an interaction are huge. We see sheets with 25 medications. My sister-in-law in her 30s was taking 17. Really? Anyway, yeah, don't talk to me about my sister-in-law. But anyway, that was a different situation. But really, my father's 85 and he's very healthy, but he still takes 4. So we've got lots of people out there who need. So my recommendation is that we all make sure that our clients have one person that knows all the medication. If it's a PCP, and that's usually the standard. And then we have people who, go to different doctors on purpose to get different medications. And I also encourage my clients' caregivers to get a notebook. A health book is what we call it. You just grab the composition book as you're going out towards the doctor. That way, I know as a health professional, I can get confused at what the doctor's saying. Imagine if we're not health professionals and we don't know what is a cholecystectomy. What is all these long 27-letter words. And that way you can just help them coordinate their care. I always find my job is to coordinate. A lot of times to coordinate, make sure they get, the right thing there. I talk a lot about lighting. I'm a big, because I've worn glasses since I was 8 years old, I've always had night lights. My husband thought that was funny when I was 20 years old. I've always had night lights because I need to see where I'm going. The opposite is also true with some of our elderly, though. Bright lights cause a glare and are blinding. So you have to find your balance. You have to find what works for your client. I talk a lot about footwear and clothing, particularly footwear, because there are a lot of scuffs, there are a lot of slides. If you have an open back shoe, you can walk out of it very easily. You can fall off the side of a clog. You can fall off the side of a flip-flop, which is only a half an inch tall. That type thing. You know, I am a big believer in either strapped back, or I like your good old functional shoe that's clothing should be comfortable. A lot of times people don't want to give up their button khakis or their button jeans or something. Sweatpants work if you've got some incontinence issues, if you have to go to the bathroom really quickly, up and down quickly, that kind of thing. Comfort's huge, of course. Easy on, easy off, that kind of thing. I always like to talk about planning. Nobody wakes up and says, "It's a great day. I think I'll fall and break my hip today." Nobody says that. But people do. So what happens then? What can you do then? What would you do? I did this with my mother-in-law the last time we were in Florida. What would you do if? They're not easy conversations, but let's role play when you're in your early, before it becomes an issue. We talked about having a phone nearby. I'm also a big believer in pockets in clothing too. So you can have a phone in your pocket. Most of, the people with cell phones always have a phone, but not, people are used to cords in the wall still. So carrying a phone with you is at time. If you have one of those lifelines, wear the necklace or the bracelet. I've had a lot of falls where I said, "Do you have a lifeline?" "Yes, of course I have a lifeline." "Where is it?" "It's hanging on the bedpost." Does no good. That type of thing. Have a plan. I've talked to people, what would you do if you fell? And we talk about somehow getting over to the chair. How would you get up into the chair? We talk about, and part of fall prevention is doing the prevention part, what if, that type thing. Anyway, that's kind of that. One of the things I like to talk about is body mechanics. This is going to look ridiculous on video, but a lot of people, when you get older and you're afraid of falling and your flexibility and stuff, they're afraid to go forward because they're afraid they'll pitch forward. However, it's for posterity. I want you to watch what happens. What I teach my clients is nose over toes. And that's important, because if I'm sitting down and I want to get up, we don't think about it because we can do it. Where's my nose? It's over my toes. Okay? If you're frightened, how many of us have seen people get up this way? Okay? Their nose was way back there. So we teach body mechanics, basically nose over toes. And I'll be honest, we do this exercise in the house a lot of times. It's their favorite duck butt exercise. But anyway, nose over toes, that type of thing. We talk about using your hands. A lot of people, when they get a walker, try to do that. Well, a walker is not very steady to pull on. What's that going to do? It's going to send you right back on your bottom. So I usually have people, usually the chair is much steadier than the walker. I encourage people to place their hands on steady things. There. If they really feel the need to do that, sometimes I say, okay, one hand down, one hand where you are, one hand where you're going. But some people get unbalanced that way. So the best way would be to do this type of thing. I have one of the things we work on in the bathroom is where to put your hands, because usually commodes don't have armrests. And I've seen people pull sinks out of walls. Yeah, I can pull on the sink. Well, then it ends up in your lap, and we have other issues as well as plumbing issues. So as home health therapists, both the OTs and the PTs look at the environment stuff. But this is general, just general things we look at. We talk a lot about exercise. A lot of people go, I hurt. I don't want to exercise. I'm tired. I don't want to exercise. And I have found that in a home exercise program, once you get above 5 exercises, nobody's going to do them anyway. If you give someone a list of, these are 15 things you have to do, it's gone. It's gone. So I usually like to give my people simple exercise programs. We talked about where the weakness is, your major balance muscles are actually your ankles and the sides of your hips. Because, this is another thing that'll look great on video, if you're weak here, I can't hold myself up and I'm going to be side to side all over the place. So the best exercises I do, really quick, one at the feet, one at the knees, and one at the hips. Up on toes. And I always start at a counter so people have some stability, because this is really difficult. One at the knees. And then the one at the hips is out to the side. And if you guys go home and try that, you will find out that it's not as easy as it looks. Particularly this one, because if you do this, both your hips are working. This leg is lifting, this leg is stabilizing. If it doesn't work, I'm like this. And then my fourth exercise is just doing this. One of the tests that Medicare likes is we time this for 30 seconds. So if they can do 4, that's their exercise. So that exercise program takes less than 10 minutes. I find, and I tell people, it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. It's your choice. To a certain extent, we do have to let them have some responsibility. All right, real quick, I'll just go over the basis behind assisted aids. And I will tell you, if you're having fall risks, giving them a walker doesn't always fix it. Okay? I do tell some people, I walk in, I go, I left my pixie dust at home. We can work on this, but I may or may not be able to, especially the confused people. If you put something like this in front of a person who's already confused, it might just, they'll go, okay, that's really good. I'll use that, Seen that a lot, particularly. My father's favorite is he likes to sit on his rollator and go down the hall backwards. And I tell him, Dad, you're going to take out some of the little old ladies. He goes, give me a rearview mirror. So anyway, with walking, we always want to simulate, make sure we get as normal a gait pattern as possible. If you watch me walk, my opposite hand is with my leg. Okay? So therefore, if I have pain in my right leg, my cane should be in my left to simulate normal gait. Pet peeve is house on TV. House, I'm gonna, how many people have done it wrong? But people don't think that way. They go, okay, I've got to support it. Well, this is not going to help. You're going to have other issues. Other things will hurt. Okay? The other thing about walking with simulating normal gait is you have a very stable triangle base. Okay? You have formed a triangle. You have still got a triangle. Okay? So it doesn't really have to do whether you're right-handed or left-handed. It's where your pain is or where your weakness is. Okay? And we teach that. And most of the time when I go, okay, is this how you want to walk? Most people go, no, that's not how I want to walk. It makes sense once you think it out. Okay? Another thing we encourage, and people have found this in general, is when you're going upstairs, we tell people the good go to heaven, the bad go the other way. Meaning, when you're going up the stairs, the good leg goes first. When you're going downstairs, the bad leg goes first. Why? The strength. The strength. If I've got a strong right leg, strong goes up, I'm pushing up on my right leg. When I'm going down, I use my left leg because my balance, because the strength is in my right leg to let me down the step. Okay? Those are some of the things we teach in home health. Those are some of the things just I look at. My kids don't like to go to the mall with me because I go, back pain. Person had a knee injury. Ma! So, anyway. Oh yeah, I'm great. Plant me at the center and I'm just a people watcher. But, all right. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.